Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. You are watching the Paris Fintech Forum Communities video interview series. I'm Elliott Gotkine, and today I'm joined by the founder and CEO of Marqeta, Jason Gardner. Great to see you again.
Great to see you too. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so look, before we get cracking, we're going to learn a little bit more about Marqeta. Okay, so look, Jason, on the surface, I guess we describe Marqeta as a card issuer, but I know that doesn't really do it justice, and it's a lot more innovative than that. So perhaps you can tell us more about the company that you founded.
Sure. So Marqeta is a modern card issuing platform. It's actually a category that we invented back in 2010. I wanted to try to figure out how to put a bunch of coupons on a card and realized that we had to go build a complete issuing processing system from scratch and then deliver that via open APIs or application program interfaces. This was new globally. No one had ever done this before. Typically, when you wanted to go build a card, you would go to a bank. And that bank would give you the same card that they gave everybody else. And we basically turned that entire model on its head, where you get direct access to the technology so that you can arrange these APIs to go solve a specific use case. And today, we have companies that operate in 39 countries, companies like Block, Square Card, they have a Teen Card, Instacart, DoorDash, Klarna, Affirm. Many companies have built these products that are really purpose-built to solve both commercial use cases and consumer use cases.
Right, and last year you reached a major milestone with your initial public offering. Aside from having to be more careful about how you answer questions now that you're publicly traded, what difference, if any, has it made to Marqeta as a company?
Well, when you're a private company, you really can do whatever you want. You raise money, you have the same sort of valuation until you raise money again. You know, the goal is building towards some sort of liquidity event. When you go public, it's a decision that you make about 18 months before the date. I am the founder, the CEO, the chairman. I'm also the largest shareholder in the company. So it was really a personal decision. Did I want to go take this company public? And this is my third company. My first one was a abysmal failure. Second, I sold, and I felt like here's an opportunity to maybe strive towards elite entrepreneurship and take a company public. And it was pretty exciting. I really loved the process of going through taking a company public. You're surrounded by a lot of really smart people, a great team. You do what are called non-deal roadshows, and you get feedback on your company. And this is like my baby. So when people give you feedback that's positive and or negative, it helps you really think about what you're building and how you're going to do it and what the future is going to hold. And then you have this amazing event, and then you're a public company CEO, and it's different and it's exciting at the same time. It's really neat operating in this very fluid environment, running a public company, and it's been pretty exciting what I've been able to do. And now I'm in my 12th year.
Right, and exciting times, because of course you went public in the midst of the pandemic. Since then, economies have roared back, inflation has surged, interest rates are rising, and Russia, of course, we saw invaded Ukraine. That's quite a lot to handle for a fresh-faced, publicly traded company CEO.
Yeah, it's a lot. And it's not just running a company and, loving your customers and building great technology. It's also the people, the people at Marqeta, the people at our customers, the people around the world that build on top of our technology, now are public company investors. And, I tell the company all the time, just continue to execute and the stock will follow if that's, what the concern is for a number of different constituencies. For me, I'm built for. I have built, now my third company, and I have seen it all. I've seen all kinds of different negative events impacting the company, positive events impacting the company. And really, it's focusing on the journey, focusing on the goal of the things that we have to get done while creating an environment where people can do the best work of their lives and feel ultimately safe.
Okay, and Marqeta, we talked about the card issuing platform. You started with debit cards, I think, and then moved on to credit cards. What new products can customers expect from Marqeta? I assume you're only going to tell me what's already out in the public domain, but what new products can they expect?
Well, what we've announced a number of different partnerships. So we're now working with large financial institutions like Citi. We built a tokenization as a service platform. It turned out that Citi couldn't instantly issue a card, which means I sign up for a card and then I drop that card or tokenize that card into Apple Pay, Google Pay, or Samsung Pay. We've also done that with JP Morgan Chase. We've also done that with Marcus by Goldman Sachs. We built out a fairly robust credit platform. We're going to do more and more in the credit space. I mean, it's interesting. Visa and Mastercard have interconnected the world, whether online or offline, for merchants that want to accept cards. So it's quite the global phenomenon, and we're just scratching the surface. We have said numerous times we're less than 1% of the carded volume in the U.S. and far less than that globally. So there's still a ton of runway for us to continue to build issuing and processing products for our customers in the countries that we operate in.
Okay, so we've heard about Marqeta. Let's now get to know Jason a little bit better. All right, now, Jason, before this interview, I was kind of hoping you might have turned up wearing one of the tie-dye t-shirts you used to sell on trains on the way to Grateful Dead concerts, while maybe sitting in one of the jacuzzis that you used to repair. Were these kind of, the seeds of your entrepreneurship? Were they lucrative businesses?
Yeah, I remember being a little kid in Holmdel, New Jersey, and instead of watching TV or futzing around outside, I went to my neighbors and I asked them if I could pick weeds for money. Like, I was literally 4 or 5 years old, and there was something I really loved about doing that. Like, loved about the work and making money, but the money was going directly in my pocket. And then I've had numerous businesses from them. As you mentioned, I had a tie-dye business in high school. I ended up taking that tie-dye business to Arizona State, where I went to school. I had that all freshman year. I made shirts for teams. I made shirts and sold them on Jersey Transit, seeing Grateful Dead shows at Madison Square Garden. I actually really loved it, and then ended up starting my first company in 1997, second company in 2004, and then Marqeta in 2010. So I do think entrepreneurship is in my blood. I was born to do this. I love building things. I love creating things. I love selling them. I love talking to my customers. I love seeing things. It's really gratifying to build something and then see other people use it to go build their business. Obviously, these businesses have gotten bigger over time, and it's this entrepreneurial journey that I really, really love. I can't imagine doing anything else with my life, even though building businesses is very, very hard and stressful. I really can't imagine doing anything else, and I really love it.
And you said in '97, I think you said your first business was a dismal failure. Well, what was it you did, and how did it go down?
It was called Vertical Think. It was sort of like an early platform to connect sort of second tier web developers, like people in a garage that wanted to work for big companies but didn't have a way to get in there. So it was sort of like a meeting place for them. It was more of a lifestyle business, but I really didn't know what I was doing. I sort of came up with the idea, left a company that I was working for at the time, and they had these second tier web developers who were contacting them, but they couldn't handle the projects that we had. So I felt, hey, there's a good business here. But I was more fascinated with building a business, but it was a bigger business than I really understood. And I just didn't do a good job, but learned an incredible amount. You learn a lot through failure of businesses versus success.
Right, and you also worked as an assistant for the late Senator and presidential candidate John McCain. Did you at any point think about going into politics at least? Was that perhaps where your folks were nudging you?
I did. I got an internship when I was in my junior year at Arizona State. And Senator John McCain was this amazing figure within the state of Arizona. And for me, I got an opportunity to have an internship. I worked directly with him and Babs Donaldson, who was his chief of staff at the time. And then I got to work on JETRO, which is the Japanese External Trade Organization for the state of Arizona. I really loved it. And I thought I wanted to get into politics, but realized that my opinion didn't really matter. I really struggled with not being able to speak my mind. I'm a Jewish kid from New Jersey. We all speak our minds pretty eloquently. And I found that really, wanting to go and travel and then eventually end up in California and build technology businesses was my calling.
Okay, well, seems to be so far so good. So look, Jason, a key part of this interview is to get your take on the future of finance. But first, we are going to take a very quick break, after which we're going to continue our conversation with Marqeta founder and CEO, Jason Gardner. Welcome back, and don't forget, if you're not already a full member of our community, everything you need to join can be found at www.parisfintechforum.com. Okay, Jason, let's now talk about the future of finance. So look, many fintechs that had their initial public offerings last year have seen their valuations plunge, including Marqeta's. I know you can't talk about specifics, but what do you make of what's happening to fintechs, even ones that have grown, I think, 50-fold over the past 4 or 5 years, such as yours?
Well, there's a lot of headwinds in the world right now. Obviously, we have war, Russia invading Ukraine. We have gas prices going up. We have inflation. We have interest rates. There's a number of things going on. Now there's a talk about possibly going into a recession this summer. So we're seeing a lot of sort of downward pressure, not only on fintech, but really the entire market as a whole. It's not just a fintech landscape issue. So, and as I said before, I mean, I've talked to the company about this. As we continue to execute, the stock will follow. So it's difficult being a CEO in times where there's a lot going on, both personally and professionally for people. You have to create an environment where people feel safe, they have belonging, and they have dignity. And we talk about that a lot here. I talk about a lot of that personally. I'm someone who really cares deeply about other people, other human beings, and to be able to create the environment despite everything goes on. I want to create the environment where we can continue to execute, continue to build, continue to service our customers and service these new investors that we have in Marqeta.
Okay, and Marqeta still very much associated with plastic, debit cards and credit cards, yet many consumers have already moved to mobile payments, and even now we see the rise of open banking in payments, which is kind of relieving almost, removing the need almost for card rails. How much time do you think cards have got left before they go the way of the dinosaurs?
Well, we're already seeing the plastic moving away. We saw from 2019 to 2020, we saw a 68% increase in the use of mobile wallets. We now see where even 51%, this was we talked to people in the UK, the United States, Europe, about the usage of buy now, pay later. We found that 51% of adults had used buy now, pay later as an option. We power obviously a number of companies in that space. We allow them to really spread their wings by connecting them to the card rails behind the scenes using virtual cards. So Visa and Mastercard have interconnected every merchant on the globe, whether online or offline. It's hard to believe that they would be built again, certainly within the next 2 decades. That is very difficult to do. And that's what really connects the ability for me to travel and you to travel around the world and use our cards. Maybe the plastic would go away once we see Apple Pay and Google Pay and Samsung Pay and all the numerous wallets out there become ubiquitous at the point of sale, but it'll be some time before that happens for sure.
Okay, I mean, you mentioned buy now, pay later, or BNPL, and you, as you say, support some of the biggest players in that, including, I think, Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm. Regulators, though, are beginning to circle a little bit. What's your best guess as to the rules and restrictions that may come in to prevent people spending what they can't afford to spend?
I don't know what the rules will be, but I'm someone who actually believes pretty strongly in regulation. I think regulation creates the guardrails in regards to how you can build. I mean, we built a company using great technology based on rules that were built in the 70s and 80s. That you can still build innovative technology, innovative businesses with regulation. Now, regulation is coming to buy now, pay later companies because you're working directly with consumers and you're working directly with businesses, and politicians and legislators are focused on protecting both of those parties and creating a two-sided system where both parties are protected. So again, I'm someone who believes in regulation. It now allows companies to go build within these guardrails. And obviously, we've seen an enormous amount of success for companies in the buy now, pay later, really around the world. And we're tracking 30 companies ourselves.
Right, and I know Marqeta also supports payments in crypto, for example, by partnering with Coinbase. Is crypto the future of payments? I mean, is cash kind of, it's all going to be, crypto in some degree, whether it's central bank digital currencies or Bitcoin or whatever the case may be?
It's just another form of currency. That's not obviously backed. It's not fiat. You can't necessarily actually spend it at the point of sale. We create the ability in our partnership with Coinbase, and we work with other companies in the space as well, where we've created a gateway. So somebody swipes a Coinbase card at the point of sale, or taps their phone, or enters their 16-digit number online, and we send the message that's generated at the point of sale to Coinbase through a gateway. They convert that. They obviously peg that amount and do the conversion of any type of cryptocurrency that's being held in an account. They send us a message back to us to say, hey, authorize or decline this transaction at the point of sale. But this is something we've thought about for a long time. When we see a vertical that we want to go and build solutions for, we talk to these companies and purpose build these solutions to go and service them. And now we service 4 different companies that we've now announced in that space, the crypto account space.
Right, and I mentioned just a moment ago, and you mentioned as well some of the huge fintechs out there. They're even bigger than Marqeta that are out there, and of course there are even bigger ones such as Stripe that we didn't mention before. And then of course you've got legacy banks and other card issuers. Is it possible that your space, like this kind of this niche that you built, that you created, that it's going to get much more competitive, and perhaps you're not going to have it all to yourself?
Well, I've said you can't be as successful as Marqeta has been and not expect to attract competition, and we've done that. Stripe has built a system about 5 years ago in the issuing processing space. We have companies in Europe. I'm now hearing about the fintech, or the Marqeta of Africa, the Marqeta of Southeast Asia, the Marqeta of India. That for me is exciting. Like these amazing companies have gone and copied us. Again, we're processing less than 1% of the carded volume in the US and significantly less than that globally. So there's a ton of runway for us to go and build. And we've attracted, the best names around the world who built on top of our platform. You simply can't reverse engineer over 12 years of operating experience. And we know how to operate this at massive scale, which is going to be a lot of challenges for any company that looks to enter the space. It's a very, very difficult space to operate in successfully.
And just briefly, if you can, because I want to move on to the final section. Do you think the technology and regulatory ecosystem around the world is now good enough to see successful fintechs like yours become genuine global players and have a genuine global footprint in 3, 4, or 5 continents around the world? Or is the payment space kind of still very much local? You talked about the Marqeta of India or the Marqeta of somewhere else, perhaps because you've not been able to or not gotten round to kind of going there, or maybe it's just too much hassle.
Well, we operate in a very regulated business, and every single country around the world has their own rules and regulations. Even in the EU, France is different than Spain, is different than Italy, is different than Czechoslovakia. So it's very different on how these institutions think about how you're going to go enter those countries. So we spend a good probably 18 months before we go enter a country to really understand what are the rules and regulations. How do you operate inside of these regulations? So That for me is these are the rules. These are the compliance factors that you have to think about when you're going to build. And once you can build and operate within that environment, which is getting more and more stringent over time, you can build a successful business and build very deep moats and tall walls to keep from competitors from coming in.
Okay, so look, time now, Jason, for our round of rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, so just one word answers is great here, Jason. So most successful fintechs we know are very well funded, but are still losing money hand over fist. Is this to be expected or something we should worry about?
It's to be expected, and eventually you'll have a path to profitability. We've talked about a 20% path to profitability. We'll get there.
All right, need much shorter answers, Jason, to get through all of these. What fintech segment besides yours has the biggest potential over the next 5 years?
Cross-border.
What is the biggest pain point in your everyday financial life you'd like to see resolved?
I don't have pain points in my financial life personally.
Are we at the beginning, middle, or end of the fintech wave?
We're in the middle.
Do you have a metaverse strategy?
Oh, I expect payments will be there, so yes.
Do you think regulations in the EU and US have adapted fast enough to handle all the new fangled possibilities and behaviors we're seeing in the financial industry?
Yes.
How would you describe NFTs? A scam, B, an interesting concept, or C, a part of our future that we mustn't miss out on?
Interesting concept.
Have you ever invested in crypto?
No.
Are physical points of sales part of the future of finance?
Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is the likeliest, how do you rate the following? That one of the neobanks will be as profitable as a top-tier legacy bank?
Yes.
So that's a 10 out of 10?
Oh, a 10 out of 10?
All right, well, we're out of time anyway on that final section, but sorry, so we'll assume that's a 10 out of 10 for that one, Jason, but I am afraid we are out of time, so I really just want to thank you for this fascinating conversation. Always great to see you in person in the past and now by the wonders of modern technology. So thank you, Jason Gardner, founder and CEO of Marqeta, for joining me today.
Thank you, Elliott. Really appreciate you having me.
Okay, and for everyone watching, we are going to be back again next week with another big name from the world of finance and technology. We do hope you'll join us again then. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to the Paris Fintech Forum YouTube channel and to follow us on Twitter at Paris Fin Forum. That's all for now. Hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.